Hi everyone, I hope you're well. This is CoinsKid, just going to dive into Bitcoin, big up the CoinsKid crew. So right now, what we're doing, we're tracing to this low, we've run into this high, which is a breakout of this high. The 1414 was met just there, okay? So right now we're coming back in a retracement to this low, okay? The most important thing going forward for Bitcoin, we have bounced off a golden ratio as anticipated. This is where I said to you yesterday, go long on Bybit, you know, really tight stop loss, and so far so good. We're coming up into resistance right there. You can see at the moment, we've got the EMAs as resistance, we've got this trend line as support, okay? So if we do continue to hold that, it'll be quite nice. If we do roll again, okay, I would envision putting some bids on the 702. I think if Bitcoin starts to come down and hits its head like this on this level of resistance, okay, previous this key level support, and starts to turn into resistance, it could be a precursor to the fact that you're going to come down even deeper and begin a retracement to this low that you put in last month, okay? So this video, you know, this is a short little trade that we've got on right now. We've got this beautiful little long into resistance as anticipated. If we start to coil up here, something like this, like we did here and like we did here, then I would build your long positions at this point with a really tight stop loss down here on a 702 fib, okay? Now if it doesn't do that, obviously it's going to roll and going to come down. This is why you always use stop losses. You can do all this on Bybit. The link is in each and every single video description. Don't be a degen, don't go all in with your life savings, but so far so good. You know, we put some bids in down here on this golden ratio yesterday, and we're having a nice little bounce off it so far. So what we want to see down here, some kind of bottom out structure, potentially ascending triangle, hold support. Again, if you start to see this structure down here, you can start to build some long positions, because once we break out, I can tell you right straight away, if this is the low, and it is a big if, obviously, this is why step losses, use stop losses in your trades, obviously, but if it is the low, I can tell you next target, Fibonacci target, you're looking at a minimal breakout of that high. Obviously you got to take out that high. That's a really bullish statement from Bitcoin. 1272 at 25360 would be the minimal target, and then you got a 161 up there, 1618 up there at 26789. So this video is primarily about what I'm calling the Magnificent Seven, okay? Now I had 7 indicators telling us that that was the low, okay? So at a minute, what I think we're doing, we're caught between a kilo of resistance right there and a kilo of support. You know, you can get really choppy, range bound in there, whatever, but it's all about breaking that resistance. Really bullish. Lose this support, really bearish. And I mean really, really bearish, because if you do start to lose this support for Bitcoin, which is what a lot of people are anticipating and looking for at the moment, which is usually what you do see at the bottom, the sentiment and everything like that, looking for lower prices. If it does happen, I do think Bitcoin could actually be in trouble. And I've told you this many, many times, because you're losing structure, you're losing key level support that you've always held, and it would not look quite healthy going forward for Bitcoin and crypto, and that's the truth of it, okay? So what I'm going to do is show you the Magnificent Seven and why, as a community, we was able to get this short all the way down there and open that long all the way down there, okay? So this is called Magnificent Seven, this little update. I want to sort of archive this, because it would be amazing to look back in time and say the CoinsKid crew, you know, bought the dip and we bought the bottom, and we were anticipating that bottom right there when not a lot of people were, you know, and it was a purely data driven bottom. It's not emotional, or because, you know, Gary said it was, or Dave, or on Twitter, or, you know, whoever said it was data. It's something that charts are telling us, okay? So, you know, we try to adhere to charts and data on this channel, and so far so good. We're having a positive reaction off that. We did get another bottoming out signal just there around about 25 days later for Bitcoin as well. So that's something we do need to keep an eye on going forward. You know, obviously the data can be invalidated, but anyway, this video primarily, you know, is just about showing you why there were several indicators just there telling us that that was a bottom, okay? And it was a good place to enter Bitcoin regardless. So right now, let's dive into that, okay? So the first signal is the signal is we was expecting capitulation and expecting a big dump for Bitcoin. You know, as a CoinsKid community, like I said to you, we were short at this point, because just here, we've got this death cross on this week here, okay? Now, a week later, when the blue line and the yellow line cross negatively like that, that blue line is the 100-week moving average, and the yellow line is the 20-week EMA, okay? Whenever they cross within 1 week, Bitcoin puts the largest dump of the correction and basically a capitulation event of the correction, and puts in the low right there. And so far so good. You know, we're coming up off that low, trying to kind of find a bottom at the moment, okay? So that was a really, really key signal that has happened twice before for Bitcoin. So this is why we didn't ignore it, and we was anticipating here in the charts, because you can see, if we take a look at this cross here on this week, okay, look, and then the week later we actually bottomed. Do you see that? So if we move to the left as well on this correction down here, you can say, okay, well, we've got the same scenario. We've got the death cross on the 20 EMA and the 100-week moving average, and there's that candle there, and then you actually put in the largest correction there, you know, and your bottom of that bear market right down there, okay, for Bitcoin. So that's one signal. Let's move on to the next signal. So another signal indicating the bottom is whenever this channel here, this is called the Gaussian channel. You can get into your charts, indicators, and it's called the Gaussian channel, like that, okay, with DW in brackets. Drop it into your charts. It's a free indicator. Whenever you fall out of the channel, okay, and the yellow line, which is a 20-week EMA, pierces the bottom of the Gaussian channel, that particular week was the bottom of your correction. Historically, that's always happened. If we take a look, you pierced it just there. That week was your bottom. If we look here, okay, for Bitcoin, just there, we pierced it just there, and that week was your bottom just there, okay? So that's the second signal. Let's take a look at the third signal right now. So the third signal is a sort of late to the party signal. Basically, 1 month after you've bottomed, the 10 EMA and the 20 EMA on the monthly time frame cross to indicate that the month prior was the bottom and the fantastic entry point. So historically, whenever you've bought in the month after where you've got that cross, has always been a good entry point just to accumulate Bitcoin. So, you know, again, is this time going to be different because of the macro environment? Who knows? But it is a signal, and so far this month is kind of confirming that the last month was the bottom. So far, okay, so it's a signal that's always indicated the month prior. You get the def cross, boom, your bottom's in just there for Bitcoin. Okay, we'll take a look at that def cross just there. Okay, do you see that? There's your def cross, and the month prior was your bottom. If we move to the left here, there's your def cross just there, and the month prior was your bottom, okay, for Bitcoin. So let's take a look at the fourth signal right now. So the next indicator is something called the Bitcoin Super Cycle indicator. Again, so you can get it into your charts just there. It's called the Bitcoin Super Cycle indicator, and you drop it in just there. Look, you see that Bitcoin Super Cycle just there by Skermantas, I think. Drop it into your charts, free indicator, and just there, look at that, nailed the bottom. It was late by 1 day, but it's very, very close to the bottom. And if we look at it historically for Bitcoin, you know, it's always been pretty accurate down there. It was 1 day later, and if we take a look at this previous bear market just there, you can see, okay, just there, it was a little bit premature, but it was around near the bottom, okay, for Bitcoin. So that's definitely something to look at. Right now, we'll jump onto the fifth signal. So the fifth signal for Bitcoin is the weekly RSI. So if we take a look at the RSI just there on a weekly time frame, you can see that whenever Bitcoin has entered the oversold, anything below 30 is classed as oversold. Whenever it's entered the oversold, it's always been the bottom. Look at that in 2015, look at that in 2018, and right now we went oversold again last month in June, okay? So whenever we've entered this sort of level down here in the RSI, it's always indicated the floor, okay? So that's just one other indicator. Let's take a look at the sixth indicator right now. So if we take a look at Bitcoin on the monthly time frame here, you've got an indicator called the Williams percent range. Now you can get this into your charts by going to indicators and type in for Williams percent range. You can see each vertical line here is represented by the bottom, okay? So if I was to click on this and make it bigger like that, you can see that whenever we pierce the downwards trend line in the Williams percent range and also being oversold down here, okay, like that being under this level here, it's oversold, you can see that Bitcoin is signified that the previous month was the bottom, basically, once you pierce that level just there, okay? So at the moment we're kind of doing it again, okay? Just here was where we indicate the bottom is. Well, you know, the data is telling us, not hopium or anything like that. The data is telling us that the bottom was there. The data was telling us the bottom there. And once you pierce that, you're confirming that the bottom was the month before. Once you pierce that, you're confirming that the month was the bottom before. And once you pierce that as well, you're confirming that the month was the bottom before. And that's exactly what we're doing right now at this bottom. So again, pure data driven statistic here, an indicator, not emotion. It is what it is. Last month was hopefully the bottom, and right now, you know, we're looking at piercing this trend line in the Williams percent range, and that is equally an indicator to say the month prior, pretty much like the def cross on the 10 EMA and the 20 EMA indicates that the month prior was the bottom, okay? So obviously got a lot of work to do going forward, but now let's jump on to the final seventh indicator here for Bitcoin. So the final seventh indicator here was the Bitcoin rainbow price chart. We was keeping an eye on this the whole way down. We've been keeping an eye on this, you know, since the get-go. Basically, I've been looking at this prior to making the channel videos here for you, and this is something we'll be keeping an eye on the whole way down. And I was anticipating if you get into this zone here, okay, which we did, then basically, as it says there, it's a fire sale, you know, and it's got a proven track record that whenever you enter the blue zone here, it's always just a good place to accumulate Bitcoin, and so far so good, okay? It doesn't mean that, you know, it's 100% valid, and because it's done this, it's going to hold true and things like that. You know, it is worrying, like I said to you, if you do start to fall through these key levels of support, you're losing data, you're losing structure, and Bitcoin Bitcoin could be in trouble, and that's the truth of it. Okay, so we do need to hold this low that we've come down to and build a foundation on it, and so far we do look as though we're trying to, and people become more bearish at the bottom as they become even more bullish at the top, and that's the way it works. Market sentiment, which is equally you know, an indicator that you can look at, you know, being complete fear in the market. But here Bitcoin rainbow chart is telling us that we're basically in the fire sale zone. Historically it's been really good. So, you know, again, it's just data, it's just doing something it's done before. Why would this time be any different? I know the macro outlook obviously, but time will tell, won't it? Now there is one final indicator. It was a little bit late to the party, so you could say, okay, we've got 8 indicators, and again, if this holds true, fantastic. Let's take a look at the final indicator, a sort of bonus indicator right now for Bitcoin. So the last indicator here was a little bit late to the party. It's called the Pi Cycle Bottom Indicator. Again, go to indicators and search for Pi Cycle Bottom Indicator, and you'll see that just there it created that bottom signal. And this is why I'm telling you, you know, in the videos that I do daily, that that is a really important signal. Okay, and that's a really important low that we do need to hold going forward, because if it does start to take out that low, you're invalidating this particular Pi Cycle Bottom Indicator that's always been pretty accurate. It was out by 1 day on the first time, and it was out by 2 days on the second time. So at the moment, the data that's telling us, the primary data that we was looking at here, looking for this dump down into that week there, that is hold true. Obviously there's several indicators telling us that, but then we've got this sort of last indicator here that's 25 days late to the party from this low there. It's 25 days late to the party just there. So that really does need to hold going forward. So that low just there, I'm going to drop it in for you for future reference for you. That is around about $18,900. If you do start to see Bitcoin coming down and trading below that, then it could begin, you know, a big precursor to the fact that you're going to lose this low, and we're not looking like we've formed the bottom right there, and you know the Pi Cycle bottom's wrong, and all the other indicators could actually be wrong as well. And like I said to you, if Bitcoin does start to do that, it looks like it might be on its bike here. Look at that, it's a bike. But anyway, take care everyone. Hope you enjoyed that little update. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned, and remember, always adhere to data. Take care everyone. Bye bye.